Watch us on YouTube. Listen on your favourite podcast platform. Or ask your smart speaker to play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
Start with Chris, add a dash of sport, squeeze in some music, then shake, don't stir. And you've got the ultimate blend, LTID, with your host, Chris.
Good evening, good night, good morning, good afternoon, good day, goodbye. Hello, I'm back. I'm off, I believe, YouTube's naughty step. How long for? I don't know. Will I get to the end of this show with all that before they cut it off? Who knows? They let me do this one last Monday, then cut me off halfway through. So let's make the most of it while we are all here live. But it is good to be back. I know what I can't be doing in the future. I have to be honest with you, I did think it was my swearing at James Maddison that got me the kick out, but it wasn't. It was good old Bernie Eccleston. Good afternoon, good evening. Like I say, this is LTID TV from Leicester Till I Die. We are live on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for joining us. Please join in with the comments and the chat, and just keep it respectful, as we always say. If you listen on podcast, welcome along. Thank you for lending me your ears. I'll clean them out and give them back to you at the end. That is, of course, Leicester Till I Die, and we are available on all major podcasts. And if you are so rich, like Craig, that you got some smart speakers, just say, play the podcast, Leicester Till I Die. And of course, as you can see there, we are all over socials. You can find us everywhere, except OnlyFans, which is what I just got a special tweet message from some lady to invite me onto that. I politely declined. You know, I just can't accept all these invites. I'm just too many to satisfy. But how are we doing? Anyway, nervous? Tense, nervous headache, 4 games to go. We will soon know where we are going to be playing next season. Is it a lovely bank holiday, Boxing Day trip to Manchester as we normally have, or Liverpool, or a nice trip up to Stoke on a wet Tuesday? I'm worried. I'm not going to lie, I am very worried. Just to say, as you can see there, gentlefolk, we are going to be making some changes towards the end of the season. Some of them have already sort of started to be implemented to see how things look. I will be doing a separate show and going through all the changes. One of the changes, I've got to say I'm quite pleased with this, is the X-Foxes Prediction League. That we've got Steve Lynex, Gary Lineker then, Jerry Taggart, Ian Marshall, Ian Wilson, Walshy. We are now going to be joined those by Paul Reed is joining, Richard Smith, Julian Watts, and I am really, really chuffed to say Pontus Carmark and Julian Joachim will also be taking part. So some good things coming next season. Hopefully we will still be in the Premier League to enjoy it. Let's just say a couple of hellos before we get the guys in. Chris Welsh, good evening, big up. Should be interesting game. Fulham strong and tough at home. Leicester showing fight under Smiths. We haven't lost. We haven't lost in 3, and we've only achieved that a couple of times this season. And Nate is back all the way from America. Good evening, good morning, whatever it is over there. I suppose it's afternoon. How are you doing, Nate? Good to be back. Like I say, there are a few changes coming on, but a couple of changes that aren't being made, and that's to the old guys that come on here with me. Well, one of the old guys, Craig, and one of the not-so-old guys, Brad. Good evening, gentlemen. How the devil are you both?
I'm good, thanks, Chris.
Yeah, good evening, lads. It's good to be back. It's been a while, hasn't it, Chris? And it's been a while since I've been on a show with you, Craig.
It is, Brad. It is. But at least we can gang up on Chris instead of just
we can bully him for bully him for his remarks. He says when we're not live.
Yeah. I never said anything about you at all, Jesus Christ. Man United is always leaving us all speechless, and they're losing 1-0 to West Ham. The rumours are if De Gea carries on playing like that, they'll be after Ward. But obviously, if De Gea keeps making mistakes like that, I think they could be after Smithers. But But oh, Anthony says, I thought Brad was older.
You get.
Anthony, it's the Botox. I'm sure if you ask him nicely, he'll give you the number.
I'm only a few years older than it has been years Arsenal gone without winning a major Premier League trophy.
Boom, boom. Love it. Boom. Get in there, Brad. Nice one. Nice one. Look, let's start with the question there. I'll come to you first, Craig. Is this game our last chance for 3 points when you think we've got Liverpool, Newcastle, and West Ham?
No, basically. To be honest, if West Ham win today, that's a good result for us, I think, because you would expect that means there's a little less pressure on them to get anything on the last game of the season. And we always know when a team has something to play for, you hope that there's a little bit more fight in them, particularly if they've gone on and managed to get into a European final. So Man U throwing this game could be good for us, to be honest. So I think we've got another chance for 3 points there. I wouldn't discount us against Liverpool either. You know, we've had some good battles with Liverpool at the moment over the last few years. They have come back. I think they've won 6 on the trot, but they're not looking impregnable at the back. So I fancy us to get a goal there. So I think it's all to play for. I think we've seen enough of a bit more of fight, a bit more threat in the last few games. So I think you stay confident, and this is definitely a chance of 3 points, but I don't think it's the last one.
Would you agree, Brad? I mean, you know, normally once a team has confirmed that they're relegated, they play with a bit of freedom and what have you. I think it could be the same once a team knows it's safe. They play with a bit of freedom and therefore no pressure on them. Play better.
Yeah, I think so. It's not always the case. I mean, but the majority of the time it is. And if we can keep that momentum going and positive attitude, I don't see this as the last chance to get 3 points. I mean, Newcastle's kind of like not so much a free hit. That's the wrong term to use, but it's the game you least expected something from. With what we've seen, not just from Leicester, but from the opposition we've got left to play this season, you would look at it and go, 3 of them games out of the last 4 for Leicester, there's points up for grabs that are very, very viable, that and a good chance that Leicester could get something from at least 3 of the 4 games. And the fact that we have that psychological edge of being ahead on the goal difference situation at the moment, we have the chance playing first on the Monday, which is really weird to say, but to kind of extend that advantage, if you will, can only play into our hands. And I'm kind of like Craig. I don't discount Liverpool. I think we can get something. And I think West Ham could be in a position. Hey, hopefully by that point we're safe. But if it comes down to it that we're not mathematically safe, I think that game will play very well into Leicester's hands because it's at home, and West Ham will probably have one big eye on the Europa League conference final. So,
well,
yeah.
I don't want them to do it because they've gone further than us. But like you say, it might just take their mind off. Because I think they play that after they play the last game with ourselves. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But Craig, I mean, when you look at it, I mean, I suppose it's sort of the boost that we've had with the new manager coming in and who it is and what have you, that we're actually disappointed with, only, being beaten in 3 but only getting 2 draws. I mean, let's be honest with you, 6 weeks ago we'd have bitten your hand off for that.
Exactly. I think we did a few games where you were asking me if I would take a point.
I've given up on that.
I think he invariably said yes, because it just keeps the scoreboard ticking over, and those points are becoming invaluable now. I think, I think Smith and the guys are still tinkering a little bit. We're not seeing a consistent team. I don't think he's settled on a lineup at the moment. He's making changes on every game at the minute. And I think it would be nice to see some kind of settled team going into these last 4, to get a formation that works that keeps us a little bit more solid through the middle, but still has a goal threat. But I
Interesting
think
you should mention that, because later on we've got your team that you have provided and we've put out there, but we've got Brad's to compare the two. And if I say that you are poles apart, I wouldn't be exaggerating. But,
well, that's good. You know,
no.
there's
We'll see.
many viewpoints in football.
Indeed. Oh, that's what it's all about. It's what it's all about. But, Brad, I mean, again, ask you the same question. Should we actually be happy with what we've achieved and the fact that we're still in there fighting? Or, when you come to think where we've come from?
You have to live in the here and now. If you was to ask me in August, would I be happy with a new manager coming in and picking up, 7, what was he picked up 5 points out of a possible 9? I'd probably tell you no, because that would probably drop us out of the European spots or whatever. But in the here and now, considering we talked about it earlier that we haven't managed more than 3 games unbeaten all season, and we haven't done it since October, since that Forest, Wolves, Leeds kind of thing. You take it in the here and now, and you look at everybody else's results that's in and around us. Who matters? Who cares? So, okay, West Ham win today. That rules them out. Great. Like I said to Craig in a weird way, that kind of ruling them out kind of gives us less to focus on who's doing what around the ground, sort of thing. And if you look at it in that way, we've picked up more points than they have. We've picked up more points than Leeds. We've picked up more points than Everton. And we're either the same or picked up more points than Nottingham Forest. And as long as we can do that from here till the end of the season, I'm quite happy with it. And it's not just that, though. There's not that feeling of doubt that where's the implosion? Because under Brendan Rodgers, when we won a couple of games or we got a couple of nice results, it's, yeah. But if we get beat by Arsenal or if we get beat by so-and-so, that's going to set us on a downward fall. We've got to stop it. And we were worried about how long it would take the breaks to set in. I don't feel that under Dean Smith, and it's just different feeling you get from him being there.
Yeah, Craig, we dodged a bullet with Jesse. Jesse Lingard then? Jesse Marsh not coming. Did we not even dodge a bigger one? Not getting Sam Allardyce.
I mean, the thing is, we'll never know.
No.
Jesse March could have come in and we could have won all 3. Instead of getting the 5 points that we have. Unlikely, but we never know. No. Sam Allardyce, Jesus. I mean, I don't know where you start with that guy. I mean,
well, apparently he's better than Pep and Jurgen.
No, let's be fair to the large-faced lump. He didn't say...
I'm writing that one down. Large-faced lump.
He didn't say he was better. He just said he was as good as Pep and Klopp and Arteta, and nobody is as forward thinking as he is. So, I mean, he showed it in his first game the other night, how he tightened them up. I would have. It would have been the worst. I'll tell you how bad it would have been. I'd have preferred you in charge, Chris, than Sam Allardyce. I can say nothing more.
I don't think that's a compliment, if I'm honest with you. Would you have had me, Brad?
Given their situation where they are, yeah, I probably would. I think any manager right now would be. It's just a hopeless choice. I mean, I've said it for weeks. I think, Chris, I kind of raised an eyebrow when I did some looking into it and realised that Garcia was on a basically... do you remember when Robbie Fowler was at Cardiff and he was on a pay-as-you-play basis? It was basically, that's what the Leeds manager was on. I thought, why are you doing a manager like that and putting him on a contract? And they're doing it now. I don't know what difference he can make. I don't know what influence he can have. He's been out of the limelight for so long. People might say, "Oh, look at Roy Hodgson and Neil Warnock," but they were never really out of work. Were they really? Roy Hodgson took a little bit of a nap, woke up, was re-announced as Crystal Palace manager. Neil Warnock got sick of his wife, so he went off to Huddersfield, and they had time to do. They had time to react, and to do things, and then slowly implement what their knowledge and what it's done to their two teams. Allardyce is just a waste of money. It's just a waste of money from Leeds and their ownership, and I kind of hope they go down now. In a sense, no disrespect to their fans, I hope they go down because I just think
You've wanted that all season. You just don't like Leeds.
Well, I don't. Well, I don't. To be true, I've never really have liked Leeds.
Craig,
but,
I noticed that I've forgotten his name. The Burnley manager, what's he called? Company. He signed a new 5-year deal. They're all going mad. I mean, should we get excited when whether it be a manager or a player signs a new deal, however long? Because we know they're not worth. I mean, there's toilet paper that's worth more than football contracts, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, all that tells Burnley fans that he'll be there next season. And I think that's it. It gives the confidence to players, anybody that they're looking to recruit in the summer. I think that's what that does.
Yeah,
he has a blinding season with Burnley. You know, a bigger club's going to come for him, and all it means is they'll get a really good payoff.
Yes.
So you're right, it doesn't really mean a lot, but I guess if we were in their situation, we'd be getting excited if he signed a new contract rather than you go through the summer wondering whether he's going to be picked off by someone else.
He's waiting for Man City anyway, isn't he? Josh is in. I'm guessing a Chelsea fan. Good evening, Josh. Fulham game is a massive chance. They've done okay this season, but are in a false position for me. I hope we go for it rather than settle for a point. Sorry, Josh. LCFC. Sorry, I should have gone to Specsavers. Sorry, Leicester fan. Sorry, Josh. I just saw the CFC then, and we're thinking Chelsea, Charlton, we got the Forest fan in. Evening, Luke. How are you? Hope you are well. Form going into this. Well, first of all, sorry, Brad, let's come to you with the gentleman who's going to be in the middle at the weekend. We have got the joy of Robert Jones. He's actually, to be fair, I think he's one of the better ones, isn't he?
My information on referees over this course of time is a bit stretched. You know, the idiots out there, but most of them are either retired or not so potent in the match officials. He's done all right to my calculations when he has been the referees. I mean, the thing is, the problems these days isn't normally with the officials on the pitch. I mean, unless they're throwing elbows around, obviously that's a different story. But obviously, the only drama that seems to ever come from an official now has the initials VAR in front of them. So,
which is Gerard Gilley.
Yeah, and why does a computer system that's run by a human need an assistant to help him run him? And what is he doing? Is he reading instructions like press F5, shut down, give penalty? I don't understand why technology needs an assistant to help run it, but there we go. But yeah, just good enough officials, I guess.
Form going into this. I mean, Fulham overall are 14th. Only won 2 of their last 6. They've lost to Fulham. Lost to Liverpool. Before that, they lost to. Why isn't my mouse working? To Man City, and before that, they lost to Villa. So lost the last 3 games, but three difficult games.
Yeah, I think they're a decent side. I think they are. They had a really good start to the season. I mean, when you look at their recent form, even beyond that, I don't think it's particularly clever, though. I would imagine over the past 5 games, we've probably picked up at least as many points, if not more.
Well, funny you should mention that, Craig, because we are in 15th overall. They're in 14th. We're in 15th. We've actually got 5 points, and they've got 6. So we are there or thereabouts.
Yeah, I mean, they are. I think they're a decent side. They like to keep possession. I think they've got 3 big players missing. Mitrovic is still out. I think this is the last game he misses.
Yeah.
I think Tim Ream, I'm shocked I'm even saying this because I think when they came up last time, he was horrific, Tim Ream. But he's been decent this season, to be fair. Now he's out, and I think he's out for the season. And Pereira is out as well, looking like for the season. So they've got 3 big players missing. Obviously, it gives other people opportunities. I think Harry Wilson has played pretty well the last few games. And I think they're a team that we can get after. I think that's it. I think they'll play some nice possession football. I think it's up to us to actually move quicker through the field when we turn it over, and I think we didn't do that against Everton. I think if anything, if I was to point a finger, I think we've lost that little bit of initial impetus that we had in terms of moving the ball quicker, and we were slow again, I think, against Everton at times. So I think they need to do that, but I think it helps if you've got a team where the people on the pitch are actually capable of receiving and passing a ball.
Well, we'll come on to the Everton game actually in 1 second after this one question to Brad, because obviously you were there, we were just watching it, which was painful enough. So you have my sympathy. But Brad, at home, Fulham are 15th in the form table, and away we are 17th. We haven't won away in the last 6, and we are asking the team to go and do that. But is this a good time to be playing Fulham? Like we said, no Mitrovic. Last game before he comes back, it all sort of collapsed a little bit for them. Of the 3 teams that were kind of, with Brighton, I can't think who the other one is now, but with Brighton and another team that were Brentford that were pushing, it's probably those Fulham that have dropped off. So good time to be playing them, do you think?
Not necessarily. I mean, yeah, on paper, 3 big players out, they're fall away from form, but you probably want to take it as an incentive to play at that high tempo, like Craig said, and it was missing from the Everton game. It's not really a good time to be playing Fulham in the sense that the expectation's probably there that Leicester have to get the win. They should get the win because of Fulham's decline in form, because Leicester look better than they have done for the majority of the season, because Fulham are not a goal-scoring machine without Mitrovic. Well, we've proven that the doctor will see you now in that scenario when Leicester have done it over this season, haven't they? There's been many occasions where we thought, oh, this player's out injured, or they're not on good form. They've only scored 2 goals in 6 games, and they come to Leicester and they go and grab 2 or 3. So I don't like that good time to play somebody, because that's when it kicks you in the teeth when you lose or you draw a game, and you're probably more angry than you are when you take in the whole performance.
Let's go back to last Monday briefly before we move on to the Fulham game, Craig. Like I say, you were there. I don't think I have sworn so much in such a short space of time. And you know me, I never swear. I'm very rare that I use bad language. But I mean, we just weren't at the races at the start. I think Sean Dyche had said to them, "Get at Leicester. They always concede a goal first. The crowd will get on their back. Don't let them get on the ball." And we basically, as they weren't at the races, were we?
Not really. I don't think they allowed us to by bypassing midfield, to be honest. I think it was, particularly in the first half, I thought it was a typical Sean Dyche team performance. They were going back to front a lot, putting a lot of balls in and trying to get second balls off Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I thought our centre-halves dealt with them pretty well, but it was just our midfield for me that were a little bit lacking in picking up second balls. And that's where Everton got their possession from. So I think, for whatever, Sean Dyche has said that, given a better squad, this, that and the other, he can play different kind of football. I think he's reverted to type. I think he's keep the ball away from our goal and let's keep it near the opposition's. And that seems to be his tactic. I think their next game is Man City. I think the result today with Arsenal beating Newcastle, this is what I was going to say just before we came on air. I think that seems to have helped us, because I think if they hadn't have got a result there, Arsenal, Man City would have had a little bit of breathing space. The Everton game is in between 2 European games, the Champions League semi-finals, and I think they would have looked to maybe rest some players and not attack that as forcibly as they're going to have to now. They can't afford to slip up because Arsenal are right on their coattail. So I think that's a good result for us. Going back to the Everton, it was a tough game to watch, to be honest, because I just think we were sloppy with the ball. I think if I said Harvey Barnes was bang average, that's being unkind to bang average things. Absolute waste of space, to be honest.
I don't know.
Chris.
I'll stick with you, Craig, because obviously, if you don't mind, Brad, because obviously Craig was at the match. I don't know if you do follow the sort of the Leicester City page on the BBC, but there's some guy that writes for them every Tuesday that had the headline, "There's no I in team, neither it seems is there a James Maddison." And it was probably as well that I was banned this week from going on YouTube, because I think I would have very, very definitely done a Life's a Pitch one. He peed me off so much with his whole attitude. He was smiling. It was like he was playing to the camera for me, for the TV cameras. The penalty was awful, but we'll come to that separately. But to me, we played better. Was it against Wolves when we didn't have him?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, stick him on the bench now. He's more bothered about James Maddison than he is about Leicester City for me.
I think there's two ways of looking at that, Chris. If somebody wants to put themselves in the shop window, then they have to play well. So, if that's the case, we all know he's going to go. So I'd rather get, 4 out of this world performances from him, to be honest. But I can see what you mean. It's difficult to see that he was smiling and doing all that there. I mean, it was a fantastic through ball for Jamie Vardy, and I'm not just saying, seeing the pass, but actually delivering it perfectly weighted. And I think that's a skill in itself. But yeah, I mean, go on.
No, it is. But every time the camera's on him, he's just missed a shot, and he's got a big smile on his face.
To be honest, I think that's Maddison, though. To be honest, I don't think it was just that game. I think that is Maddison, and I think in many ways he plays better when he's enjoying his football. He had that terrible patch in the middle of the season where he didn't look like he was enjoying it, and he wasn't offering anything anyway. I don't know. It's one of those. I think you might cut off your nose to spite your face if you bench him, because I don't think we've got, apart from Yuri, who's not been at the top of his game, I don't think we've got a lot of creativity in that team, to be honest.
Just to come to you on that point, Brad, because you gave 0 to Maddison in your
I saw that.
in your verse, which got a few comments, shall we say? But I mean, I've said there's no I in team now that it seems to James Maddison. He seems to be a player who prefers to play for the cameras rather than the team and wants all the glory for himself. And then I just ended it with smile for the camera, James. But we're saying cutting nose off to spite face. Look, how long did we stick with Tielemans? Because he was supposedly our best player when he was bloody awful.
Oh, right. You'd muted me. I didn't know I could unmute at my end.
Sorry, I went back. Sorry, I went that and you went back and I thought, he's got me.
Yeah. No worries. I've got you. The thing is, you're happy you didn't get to do a post-match, and in the sense of you thought you might say something untoward to get a strike. I was looking forward to it with the comments that came my way for the 0 for James Maddison, and I can almost sense that Craig's leaning his ears forward just to hear why I gave such a harsh rating. And to
be fair, Brad, I did read it, I did see it, and I thought the comments there, and I thought you handled the comments pretty well. I think you justified your points. So I won't give you any stick. Don't worry.
Oh, thank you very much, and thanks for saying that. But yeah, I mean, you have to take it in the moment, and that's the problem. I mean, you see icons of all the sports or very famous names in particular with clubs, and we're well renowned for inside this club to have very iconic names like Heskey, Banks, Shilton, Lineker, a certain ex-pro that comes on here that I'm not promoting, Steve Lynex. and countless others. And Madison's going to go down one of them. That during
Sorry, is that Steve Lynex from Foxy7Clothing.co.uk?
it would be, it's also the one that if he can't predict football scores, but he can predict him to be late to a stream and selling stuff on Foxy 7. Cut it out. It says cut it out now. But on Madison, the thing is, I agree with Craig. I think that's just Madison's persona. Sometimes they might give a smile, and I understand that on the face of things, you think, why are you smiling? We're 2-1 down, or you're not having a good game. Why are you smiling? But sometimes it's a player's reaction to something, maybe a hefty shoulder into the ribs, and he's kind of going, oh, okay, I see how you're coming at me. That's how you're going to try and stop me. Okay, fair enough. I'll rise to that challenge with you if that's where you're putting it. And it's Madison. But for those that don't know, the reason I gave him a 0 wasn't so much to do on his actual in-game performance. It was, given the moment, given the occasion, given the situation, I am all for a player going, give me that ball, I'm going to grasp this by the balls. But here's the problem. It is social media is one of the worst things in the world, right? But it's a blessing in this case, because every man and his dog, whether they're a football fan or not, it's very known that Jordan Pickford has his crappy, shitty water bottle with his percentages written down like he's some kind of fucking genius. Well, Madison made him look like a genius, because if he knew anything about his so-called England teammate and knew anything about his so-called opposite number in that net, he would have known he thinks I'm going to stay down the middle, so he's going to move late. So he wouldn't have done his 7,000 power-up sonic steps before he took a penalty. Absolutely. Literally, that's what it must sound like. If you muted the crowd, you would have heard of the footsteps tapping away. I hate stuttery penalties. Just smash the thing. He would have known, if he'd have done half the research that Pickford does on penalty takers at the club, he would have scored that penalty. Right? And I wouldn't have given him a 0. But given the moment, given the game, why did he have the biggest footballing brain fart in the world? And inevitably, as it has been the case this season, it was a case of we're in 2-1 and there's only 2 outcomes. You either get away with it and you go and win 3-4-1, or they get the equaliser, or worse still, turn the game on its head and win 3-2. And if it wasn't for a fantastic save from Iverson from Decore, we would have lost that game 3-2, and Madison would have felt like the biggest prat in Leicester. And that's why I gave him the rating and harshness.
No, and I'm impressed that he didn't go into a minus. Craig, I mean, I think Dean Smith's been, looking in through Brendan's files a bit too much, because we've had a bit of bullshit from him about this. Oh, I don't have a particular penalty taker. Bollocks, there's no manager worth his salt that sends those players onto the pitch that doesn't say, this is who takes penalties. We've got Vardy on, who's our normal penalty taker, and who, let's be honest with you, in that game, credit where credit's due, was I thought, one of the better players. You've got Tielemans, who is, with Nacho not being on, is next in line. So it's gone to probably the third in line. He's not taken a penalty since 2018, and yet, did you see Pep going mad yesterday at who was it that missed the penalty? He didn't want him to. Yeah, because he didn't want him to take the penalty. He's shouting, Haaland, Haaland. What? I mean, that, to me, Dean Smith let himself down there. He really did. You've got to say there's got to have been a plan about they've got to have a recognised penalty taker.
My understanding, and I'm totally happy to be corrected as always, was that when he was talking about that we didn't have a designated penalty taker, it was that within the club, nobody's really grasped that and said, yeah, I've had 5 penalties, I've scored them all, there's a confident penalty taker. They'd done a bit of work and Maddison was the nominated penalty taker on the night. My issue isn't necessarily with Dean Smith having a nominated penalty taker. It's with Maddison. We saw, I think the other night, last kick of the game for Brighton, McAllister showed you how to take a pressure penalty. Pick a top corner and just smash it there. These are some of the best players in the world. These are, even if in our own domestic game, these are the most talented English Premier League professionals that there are. From 12 yards, you should be able to be capable of picking out a top corner of a net. You know, treat it like it's a free kick. You don't just dummy them down the middle, do you? You find a top corner. That's what you do, and that's what you should have done. Dean Smith has to come out and say something. I would have liked somebody to just have given the ball to Vardy and just said, take it. You're playing with a bit of the old Vardy confidence and cockiness about you.
I would still argue with Dean Smith saying that, because Vardy, we know everybody other than apparently Dean Smith, John Terry, and Craig Shakespeare knows that Jamie Vardy always takes the penalties. But hey ho, let's say he's new. Maybe he's not got to that page in the notebook yet. Brad, apparently Matt Piper saying he doesn't think Tielemans is fit enough. Is he being played just because of who he is?
The problem is, I would correct Matt Piper on that if I will, because me and him are best buddies. You know, we know that. We know that from the fact.
Jordan Blackwell you're thinking of, mate? No,
Jordan Blackwell. He's my super best buddy. But me and Matt Piper are genuine. When he's on Twitter, actually communicate. I know you love him so well, Chris. That's why I mentioned and rubbed it in your face that me and him are actually besties. We go way back. But no, the thing is with me is there's a stigma around Tielemans, and I think we all got a little bit fooled for it. And maybe I'm just thinking I'm big brain in here, and it's not really. It's a small brain matter for me. But I look back over Tielemans throughout his time, not just at Leicester, but you watch his tournament or lack of tournament performance for Belgium. Right now, I know that was a disaster tournament for Belgium because I picked them to win it. So, of course, they're going to have disaster. It's always the case. But every club he's been at, and I think it was Monaco said the same to us, which is why he was like let go from them and Anderlecht and all that. He just goes through stages where he just looks exhausted and not bothered. I don't know if it's a fatigue problem, a mentality problem, but I have seen it on more than one occasion throughout every season he's been here. He just strolls around that pitch. And I think he can paint a quite frustrated figure for him because you know what he's capable of. And I think he's one of them players that we talked about Maddison becoming an icon in Leicester's history, and he will be. He'll be part of that period in between, you know, the rising in football and Leicester's little rise. He'll be in that story. But I don't think it's the same for Tielemans, because for every FA Cup, defining moment and every magical strike that rips the top corner open and it's goal of the season contender, we have 4, 5, 6, maybe even 8 games or more where he just doesn't turn up, and it's borderline levels of what I used to say about Perez, but with actual good performances to back it up, I suppose. Is when he's on the pitch, sometimes you're already starting the game a man down, and I used to sympathise and say that was because we overplayed him, but now it just doesn't seem the case.
Good evening to Leon, and if only we had Perez to call upon. Let's just have a look at some facts. Craig, 9 times we've played Fulham in the Premier League. We have got the slight advantage over them. According to the other, in the last 6 we have, but 4 wins for them, 2 for us. They've only won 1 at home. We've only won 1 away. Has it got draw written all over it this again?
Well, without giving anything away from the predictions that you'll show later on, yes. I think so, to be honest. And I know you questioned me saying you'd take a point. That's not me taking a point. That's just me, predicting what I think will happen, to be honest. I think it's going to be a bit of a cagey game. I don't think they've got a load of goals in them, to be honest. They've got 1 or 2 players who can do something. I think it's going to be one of those that's all about 2 things. About his formation, his team lineup, but then whatever lineup that is, it's about their attitude and whether they're up for the fight to be able to get on the ball and be confident on the ball. And I think that's what we've lacked. Any team down there, you don't get on the ball as much as you do when everything is going well. You know, you either want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches to get the ball under control and do something with it, or you just get rid of it straight away.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, to me, I think it has got draw written all over it, to be honest. I'd love 3 points, but I can't see it.
Before I just come to Brad about training, we played them back in January. I take it you were there. We lost 1-0 to them.
Goal, I think.
Yeah. That we didn't realise how bad it was going to be getting then. I mean, was there anything from? I mean, can we take anything from that game? I presume. I mean, everything's changed so much.
I think it was a pretty even game from what I remember. I think it was a pretty even game, and it was one of those of they didn't have a lot of possession. They didn't have a lot of chances, if I remember rightly. They took the one clear one they had. Mitrovic did well. But what I do remember about that game is we had about a 20-minute spell in that when we got really aggressive. And it's the best we'd played for a long time. We were moving the ball quicker. We were getting aggressive, snapping into tackles, and they couldn't live with us for that 20 minutes. We didn't turn it into a goal. And I think this is the problem that
we had, apparently.
How many?
15.
Yeah. I can say when we played aggressively, you know, I think the crowd got up. I don't know if there was a disallowed goal. I can't remember. But something happened, and we had about 20 minutes where we really got into them and knocked them out of their stride. We didn't allow them to play their pretty football that they wanted to do, that they'd done throughout the first half of that season. They'd been doing really well. And we were right in it. And I think we have to do that again. And I think that's what we've lost. We've lost a little bit of aggression. And when we play aggressively, we play quicker. Because you're up for it, you're on the move. You're moving forwards when you're biting into a tackle and winning the ball. And I think when we play slow, you know, we lose what makes Leicester. You know, if we can snap into tackles and play quick football, we're much more potent. What we've been finding recently, and you know, I think Samari's had some decent games. He's been much better, but him and some of the others, they have too many touches on the ball. They like to run and carry it. The quickest thing on any football pitch is the ball. That'll move quicker than anybody. So if you move it quick, few teams can cope with you. And I hope that we are sent out with the right players, the right formation who can put a foot in and play with a bit of aggression.
Yeah. I mean, 15 shots. Where did it all go wrong with Rodgers? And we had less shots than that in about 4 games. But I want to come on to Brad, because I know, Brad, I'll just unmute you there. I know that you watch the training videos a lot, and you say I've just seen a couple of pictures, and they do look to be enjoying themselves.
Yeah, they do, Chris. And it's not just that. I mean, if I could make an argument right now, if you said to me, Brad, make an argument for Dean Smith being given the job now, regardless of whether Leicester went up or down. And for me, I would base the whole debate on the atmosphere and the training regime, because I got so used to and so bored of the same mundane training video going up that I swear to God, at some points they were just uploading it from the last week because they were hung over or something, because it was pass, 5-yard pass, go again. That's all you heard. That's all you heard every single goddamn training video. And I haven't seen a similar training session being shown and being forced to watch. Well, not forced to watch, but I haven't sit there and watch it because I want to see what's really going on behind the scenes for Leicester. And Dean Smith, every training session, it's something different. They're shaking it up. And then what they're trying to do, and maybe I'm watching way too many sport documentaries and reading into it, but what it seems they're trying to do is they're trying to get that confidence built up that they can beat anybody and they can give anybody a game and really go at them. But they can do it with a smile on their faces. They're not dreading results. They're not dreading not getting 3 points at Everton. They're not dreading that they didn't beat Leeds like they probably were. They felt like 50 times the pressure under Brendan. And you saw it. I mean, I mentioned it when we was doing a little bit of a practice run for the show earlier. I mean, John Terry's in there sliding around, getting there, and he gets nutmegged, and he's having a laugh with them. And having a laugh, and he's like, okay, cool, we've had a laugh, go again. And they just do. And the way they were switching it up, I don't know if maybe the sunlight in the background helped make it look like a brighter training session as well. but there was nothing from that training session video that I watched, Chris, that resembled an ounce of what they were doing under Brendan Rodgers. And I think that, for me, is just showing you where I wouldn't say drastic improvement, but the improvement in the atmosphere and how Leicester go about the business has come in these 4 games.
It has to start somewhere, and I suppose, like you say, if you're happy, then you're going to play better, I guess is the thing to go with that. I mean, Craig, look, we touched on it before, the form there. The thing with Fulham is they've beaten who they've had to beat, or they could beat. Is there anything that you have seen since Dean Smith's taken over that you can sit there confidently say, yeah, we're going to be in this division next season?
Well, I think there's been an improvement. I mean, you look at the 3 results; we're getting harder to beat. Yeah. Ideally, we should have had a couple more wins there. I think our Achilles heel has been 2 things, and this is making me sound as clever as Sam Allardyce here. It's mistakes at the back and missing chances.
You can never sound as clever as Sam Allardyce.
Oh no, who could? To be fair,
exactly. Not even Pep and Jurgen. Let's be honest.
No. But yeah, picking up on what Brad says there does seem to be a better attitude around the place. I think the fact that they came in with 3 new voices, so it's not just what you see there. I mean, Brendan is a serious bugger, isn't he? What you see there, and I think it's the same clip that you were talking about there, Brad, was not only John Terry taking the mickey out of himself, but Craig Shakespeare taking the mickey out of him as well. So they all look like they're in it together. And you hope that is taking a little bit of pressure off the players and giving them a bit more freedom to go and express themselves, for the want of a better phrase. But I don't think Fulham are any great shakes. If you take that form further back, over the last 9 games, we've got the same amount of points. They lost 4 on a spin before those 5 that you've shown there. So I think this is an eminent...
6 games and you're trumping my 6 games.
I'm taking your 5 games and elongating it to 9, and they lost 4 in a row before that. So I think this is definitely a winnable game. A point isn't a bad result. Losing is a terrible result,
Yeah.
But it is winnable. It is winnable if they've set them up right and they've got the right attitude. Simple game, and it's football.
It is on paper. It's awesome. We could all do it, couldn't we? We could all be managers. Yeah. Well, in our minds, we all are. Let's be honest. 8 minutes extra time, injury time at the London Stadium. It's still 1-0 to West Ham. On Jamie Vardy's return, Dean Smith said we're really pleased he's in a good place at the moment, and he is not worried about the appointment of Sam Allardyce at Leeds in the battle to avoid relegation.
Who would be?
Yeah, we've literally spoken all I need to say on that Sam Allardyce point. So who would care, really? I wouldn't be bothered at all. But yeah, I think, Jamie Vardy, maybe rightly chose to stay a bit tight-lipped on his feelings on that BT Sport interview when he scored the equaliser against Leeds. He's not the first manager to piddle Jamie Vardy off, is he, Brendan? I'll say it out as Vards, don't worry. There was times under even Ranieri and Puel where he got frustrated because he tried to get him to... You're talking about a very good quality striker who's 35, 36, during this time. And you're asking him you're asking him to change the dynamics of what got him goals. You're asking him to come deep and defend his own 6-yard box with 4 defenders. And Jamie Vardy's got that mentality where he'll do things for a team, but you can't confuse him because, like Craig says, football's a simple game. He probably spent the majority of that season with Brendan thinking, what fucking good am I to you here? What good am I to you being 12 yards in front of my defenders? With the greatest respect, I'm all for getting back as a team, but why are you asking us to do it every time? I'm no good to this team being, 20 yards inside my own half. I need to be 10 yards inside theirs. And I mean, look at the goal. Look at the goal we scored against Everton. poor Michael Keane, an ex-Leicester player, funny enough, he must have been so thankful for that full-time whistle because Jamie Vardy was running circles, rings, squares, triangles, you name the shape, he was running it around him all game, and it was Jamie Vardy back to his best. And again, you're talking, looking at someone's facial expressions during an interview, Vardy looked back to his best in that sense. He looked positive, he looked a lot
You're
better.
making up your own sayings now, running triangles around the opposition.
I know, I just thought I'd throw any shape out into it. I just got bored.
Craig, it's about square pegs in square holes, isn't it?
It is, and I hope that they do that. Just go back to basics, work out where you need to be able to take care of the opposition and attack them, exploit the weaknesses, but don't ask people to do things that they can't do. Like, it's like asking Harvey Barnes to play football. Just be nice. Okay. The reason I have a go at Harvey is because we all know that he's capable of so much more, and it's so frustrating to watch a player. Me, even if I was playing instead of Harvey Barnes the other night, the first thing I would have done when I got the ball the first time was, I'm going to knock it by Seamus Coleman, and I'm going to see if I can do him for pace. That's a basic thing of a winger. You're up against Seamus Coleman, someone who's like, I don't know, 53, something like that. But Harvey Barnes, just knock it past him and do him for pace. Didn't do it at all the whole game.
Do you think, though, he is playing how he's been told to play by a certain bell end, rather than the way he wants to play, like with Jamie Vardy?
I can't believe I can believe Brendan says, don't take any chances and just keep possession. I would have scored, you're quite right.
Did you not score an amazing goal once at the King Power? Probably the goal at the century.
No, that wasn't me. I was on the pitch, but it wasn't me. I have scored a couple at the King Power in my time, including a penalty shootout winner. I love you know.
Oh, good. Give Madders a ring up and tell him how to do it. But I've got some good news for you, Craig. Some good news. And we're going to come on to teams in a minute and the way that you think we should be playing. I'm just going to put the table up because at the moment, 7 points ahead of us. This will put West Ham, and they're pretty much guaranteed Premier League football next season. But the good news, a couple of returning players I'm going to want to talk to you both. First of all, your player I want to talk to you about, Craig. Back in training. It's nice to have an experienced head around. Johnny Evans is back.
Yeah, I mean, every team needs some sort of cones. So hopefully we can play around him. Yeah.
Don't want that experience at the back.
I think I don't think we've been ripped apart at the back with the players that we've got, to be honest. I mean, who are you dropping for him? I mean, I can understand in maybe a formation that someone may have chosen, there may be a place for him. And you could make that. For me, though, if Johnny Evans is in training, that means he may get through 20 minutes of a game. So, I don't know.
That's true. Although, obviously, at least if we're going to get injured, it will be on the pitch now and not on the training pitch. Yeah. Brad, I'm going to talk to you. Ricardo Pereira is back.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm saying this. Keep him away from the team for now, unless you're going to change the dynamic, because I once tried to stack cards into a house in a hurricane seat during hurricane season, and it stood up longer than Ricardo. You talk about certain
you
names.
Are making these up as you go along now.
I'm doing all I can just to keep you on edge and give you new quotations, mate. Really, that's all I'm doing it for. But no, honestly, I love Ricardo, but the guy's been so injury plagued, and he doesn't pick up a niggle on the training ground. That means he doesn't train for a day or two, and then he's back for selection. He's getting injured for 4 weeks, 2 months. He's crippling himself on his recovery. I think you get to a certain point, and especially given our situation, where kind of like the goalkeeping situation in a weird way, if you're sticking with Castagne as your right back, stick with him. Stick with him as your right back for the season. Don't try and mix and match it. I'm more inclined to see him come off the bench if it's necessary, but stay away from the starting 11 for me. He needs next season to recover and let his bones heal properly.
Yeah, it's as good as over. We're in the 99th minute. There's a bad injury. Glad to say everybody's all right. But Craig, they're safe now, aren't they? And it's just us down, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like 3 from 5. I mean, Southampton lose to Forest. I think that's, the way the results go over this next couple of days could see them relegated, I think, apart from goal difference. But yeah, I think we also, unless Southampton pull something out, hopefully maybe they can at least take a point off Forest tomorrow night or tomorrow. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's pretty much West Ham and up are safe. It's the rest of us to just fight it out now.
Are we relying on other teams to keep us in there?
Not at the minute, but it does help if they want to throw points away, and that goal difference that we've got may come into play. So I think as I say, we've got, because we're playing first this time, aren't we? So it will be, it would put a lot of pressure on the other teams if we can walk away with 3 points. That's for sure.
It certainly would. Right. Let us have a look, because we're now going to be talking teams and who you two guys have picked as your starting lineup straight after this.
Hello, Matt Elliott here. Hi, Alan Smith here.
Hey guys, Ian Hume here.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here.
Be sure to watch
Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV
for all the latest Leicester City news and information.
You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels for the latest updates and news on Leicester City Football Club.
Come on, you foxes!
It's just a weird season, isn't it? It's a weird season. Craig, this is your team. 5-3-2. You've not put Maddison in a striking role.
No.
But give us a quick, before we go into it in a bit more detail, and I bring them both up side by side, talk me through that.
Yeah, so Everson, again, fantastic performance the other night against Everton. I think we were a little bit lightweight through the middle of the pitch, and they were coming through. I don't think Fulham have got particularly strong wide players. Now Pereira's out. So I think we haven't either got strong wingers at the minute. Barnes is anonymous. We've got nobody who can play on the right. So for me, if we go for a 3 as a double edge, one, it allows us to stay very compact in the middle and keep that centre of the pitch tight. It means we've got 2 fullbacks, wing backs, who love getting forward, who can provide the width without us having wingers. Mendy sits in there for me ahead of Samare or Ndidi, because he reads the game better. He's more progressive with the ball for me, and he's very neat and tidy. And then you got Pratt and Tielemans. I think with those 3 in the middle of the pitch, I'm more confident that we keep and use the ball better than having Ndidi in there, whose second touch is a tackle, who's Samari, who can look good, but then has a tendency to just carry the ball too far and doesn't release it enough. And then for me, Maddison plays off Vardy in a bit of a free role, just deciding where he wants to go, which means they're going to be worrying about him allowing Vardy to run into the channel. So a little bit of a change, but for me, it gives us the opportunity to create width without having 2 proper wingers, but also keep it tight through the middle of the pitch.
Yeah, Brad, talk us through your choice there.
I've kind of gone the same with Craig's way of thinking in terms of, why the hell is Daniel Amate on the right? It's not my right. I put Castagne. It's not Daniel Amate.
No, you got Vestergaard in there.
No, I bloody well haven't. What have you done to my team, you disastrous little urchin? You thought I'd go on about this without noticing. That's not my team at all.
How long did it take you, Craig?
Half a second to notice there was a wrong person on the right.
You didn't notice Vestergaard, your poster boy.
Oh no, I was too busy wondering what the long neck Evans was doing in there. That's better. Wait, let me just check now. If they're all there. Right.
I've got it right this time. You've gone more 4-3-2-1.
Yeah, I did, and the reason being is I'll work my way up and go for it. The obvious line is the back four. I just don't think there's any point in changing it now. We've got a settled back four. Christensen, I think we need to be aggressive at Fulham. I think that was the one thing, and it wasn't anything on Thomas or his performance. I just think the one block on against Everton was we maybe didn't expect them to be so forward and so aggressive, and we maybe wanted to, hush that out. I think you've got to get out Fulham. So I went Christensen on the left. And in the middle, I like Samore. I think he's like an anchor role, and he reminds me a little bit of Kante in terms of he can keep the ball. He's actually allowed or being told to use his strength to keep and shield the ball, and he can go with it. And the middle options. Look, KDH on the left, Telemans on the right. That was just like. I think Dean Smith, Brendan, it don't matter who you are, you're pretty much thinking of them two getting in the team. The reason I think Leicester have wasted wingers' careers for years, and it's either been because we don't have anybody up front who's a target man, or we don't get enough bodies in the box to aim at them, so they're absolutely pointless, or their name's Rashid Gazelle and Iosi Perez, and they're just useless in general. So I looked at a way to get our best players on the pitch and get the best out of them. And I know Craig's probably thinking, well, why have you put Barnes in there? Well, kind of going off the point that you made about Barnes is we've got to play to his strengths as we do with Vardy. And hugging that touchline and having him go up to the halfway line and to the corner flag and back down again is utterly useless. He gets marked out of the game. He's non-existent. But if you put him alongside Madders in like a similar number 10 role, more like Okazaki in his time here in a little bit in a way, and kind of give him that free roam as well. That's why I went with Madders and Barnes just behind Vardy in that front three, because I think you need to give him that freedom to get the ball. And okay, you won't be up against Seamus Coleman this weekend, but if he's got a slightly more defensive minded wing back defending him, and he doesn't know whether he's going to stick or twist and going inside or outside, that's when Harvey Barnes is a dangerous player. That's when Harvey Barnes gets you goals and assists. So that's why I went for that lineup. No Vestergaards or Evans in sight.
I don't know. I think that wasn't a bad lineup there. Evans.
Shocking thing is, it might be our championship lineup next season.
Tete exposing everybody in the middle. What can I say? Craig, tell me what's wrong with Brad, and then I'll ask Brad what's wrong with yours.
What's wrong with Brad's team, or what's wrong with Brad?
No, we haven't got time for what's wrong with Brad.
The shorter list, the team, just the team.
For me, I think we struggle with width there, but you've explained why. So I haven't got a problem if someone's got a formation and they've explained why they played it. That's fine. My problem with Barnes is I'm not sure he's intelligent enough, and that's his biggest downfall for me. I would love it that if he knew when and where to make runs or runs off the ball or whatever. For me, he's just a little bit too predictable. I do like Samari. I think he's come into his own these last sort of half a dozen games, particularly under Smith for the last 4 games. He just has a tendency for me to not know when to release it, and then he gets caught on the ball. And we've got runners who have gone and we're out of position a little bit more. That's why, for me, I just think Pratt, Tielemans and Mendy keep the ball and protect it a little bit better and a bit more productive with it. But Dewsbury's been disappointing for me this season. I don't think he's kicked on as much. He's industrious, which is great, and you'll need that, particularly any away game in the Premier League. You'll need that industry. But again, I think his confidence has taken a knock from the way that this season's gone. But solid, I'll give you that.
Brad, you've both gone for Tielemans. We've got Pratt and we've got Dewsbury Hall in there. Is Tielemans that good to warrant his place?
Again, it's because he's got that. He paints such a frustrated picture, because if he turns up and his energy levels are high and he looks up for the fight, he stands out like a sore thumb. He will win that game for you. He can do that. He has that ability. I wouldn't. I did for a few minutes when you asked the question, kind of contemplate Tillemans or Pratt because I like Pratt, but I just think, given the person and given what we know he can do, it's really hard to not envision a starting 11 with him in, given our situation. I mean, going on that one, the only issue I have with Craig's team, and it's not really an issue as such, is Castagne is absent when he plays on the left for me. He's not as effective as he is on the right. I don't think he's as confident on his left side than he is on the right. And I know Craig might correct me here. I'm possibly thinking someone else, but I know he probably has played on the left or maybe started out on the left originally, and he's one of them that's found himself on an opposite side. But for me, that's nitpicky. The only thing that does truly worry me about Craig's lineup is that old saying is, if you play three at the back, it's because you don't trust your defence to do the job. And I know that could be easily probably argued that they haven't really done their job at times a lot this season. But I just wonder.
That was a very Michael Owen thing to say.
I know, but I just wonder if there's more reason behind, air quote, the word tiredness, behind why Sutar suddenly got dropped and replaced for a guy who's in Atletico Madrid in less than 4 weeks. He'll be in Atletico Madrid. That to me says that he's not doing what's required of him to be up to a level of trust. And for me, if you wanted to throw another midfielder out there and drop it to 4 at the back, I think, we're trying to be uber critical just to create conversation, I feel, because they're both decent lineups, but that's the one thing I'll go for.
I want arguments.
Okay, right. Well, Craig, your team's shite. Your team's shite, mate. Get Sutar, and what's he doing in there? Castagne should be up front. So wouldn't you scoring goals?
I like your team, Brad. I like your team, Craig. Fight. I'm going to ask you this, though, Craig. You obviously Leeds 1, Leicester 1. Tielemans, unbelievable strike, ruled out. Did he do much after that?
I think he was about as all right as everyone else has been. That's the problem. We've just been all right, haven't we? I think if Tielemans had a better engine, he wouldn't still be here, to be honest. And there would be the top level teams. There's reasons that a lot of teams higher up, Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal even, have looked at Tielemans, but they've just edged away. And I think it's the fact that he does lack a little bit of mobility. He does lack an engine. He does lack that yard of pace to just be able to get away from a player.
Yeah.
From a vision and passing point of view, although his passing has been pretty shocking the last couple of weeks, I must admit. But from a vision point of view, when you've got better players in front of you, I think Tielemans is a top quality player, to be honest. But I mean, whichever they pick, let's just hope that they all play to the best of their ability and we walk off with 3 points here.
Well, fingers crossed. Talking of which, we've got behind the team, and some of us haven't, Craig. It's fair to say that in the prediction here.
Can I just stop you and say that this isn't a wish result, is it? It's a prediction.
This is what's going to get you 3 points in the prediction league.
Exactly.
No, you know I jest. I do. But Brad's gone 2-1. I've gone 3-1 just to be different. Now, in fairness, you've gone 1-1, which is the same outcome as Jerry, because he's gone 2-2, and Jerry is sat at the top of the league. So maybe you know more than I do. Ian Marshall's gone 1-0 to Fulham. Ian Wilson's gone 1-0 to Leicester. And then the worst news for you, I'm sorry, Craig, is that Steve Lynex agrees with you and has gone 1-1, which is the kiss of death. And then so does Steve Walsh. But I think for once we can probably say a point isn't really going to be enough, especially as Nottingham Forest, let's be honest with you, should beat Southampton. But what a crazy season it's been. So who knows? And Leon's gone 2-2. Now then, are you ready for your quiz moment, young Craig?
Oh, bloody hell, I forgot about this.
You can sit back and put your feet up, Brad. It's a quiz
Oh, no,
that you don't have
Brad's going to show me up by coming out with the right answer. I know it already.
to. He's not. He's not. So, Craig, it is because I was very generous with you last time out. It is 4 points to me, 2.5 to you. So all it is, it's been a long time since we've done this, but it is basically just name the player that played for both sides. Are you ready?
Yeah, go on then.
So it's a busy one,
good.
this. But in fairness, I have left the loans in just to help you out. He started at Fulham for 5 years. He then went to Bristol Rovers on loan, Norwich City on loan, and RBC Ruthendal on loan, before ending up at Leicester on loan. So he actually really only had one season at Fulham. We had him for 3 seasons, and after us, he went to Cheltenham Town, Sutton United for less than a season, Woking and Farnborough.
Oh, you got that, have you?
Keep it.
I think so. I'm muted, but I think I know who it is.
Muted, you'll be removed if you shout it out. No. How's the brain cells going, Craig? Because you last time you could you did everything. You could have painted the guy. You just couldn't think of his name.
No, I just couldn't get his name. There's only 2 that I can remember playing for Fulham and us, and I'm not sure it's either of those. And they are, because I'm not sure the years are right, to be honest. Barry Hales, I remember, played for both.
Yes, he did.
Elvis Hammond played for both.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they were a bit earlier than this. I don't know. I don't know. I'll go Barry Hales.
You had a 50-50 chance.
Oh, for goodness sake.
It was Elvis Hammond. Did you know that, Brad?
We signed Barry Hales from Plymouth Argyle.
Right. Fair enough.
It was Elvis Hammond's blue suede shoes that danced its way across, and if I remember rightly, he also scored for us against Fulham in a cup match.
To be honest, I thought both of them were a bit earlier than that.
They were actually in and around that time, because that 2008 was the season that we did that direction to League One. But unlike Derby, we actually bounced straight back up. How are you feeling, Derby? But yeah, I knew it was between them 2. I couldn't think of anyone else that may have played for Fulham and us. But yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure we signed Barry Hales from Plymouth, so the only one it could be was Elvis Hammond.
He played, just to say, in his 3 seasons, he played 58 games. On loan, he played 6 and didn't score a goal, which obviously made Craig Levine, I think, want to go and buy him. And although probably was all we could afford, he scored, in those 58 games, he scored 8 goals. Prolific returns for a striker. Yep. But you had, honestly, when you said Barry Hales, he wasn't one that I'd actually even thought of. When he said Elvis, I thought, he's going to get this. But
do you know you could have really stumped him? You could have picked Mark Schwarzer.
Yeah,
the goalkeeper.
Yes,
you could have done that one because that would have been difficult because he had an extended career, didn't he? He played into his 40s with us.
Well, yes, he did. He still speaks very highly of us, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he does. Whenever he's on TalkSport.
Yeah, I'm not surprised our owners paid for him to have a winner's medal. I think they did. He was still technically there that season somewhere.
Just to say, I could have also had Paul Konchesky, Anthony Knockhart,
wow,
Stan Collymore.
Wow, didn't know he played for Fulham.
Danny Cadamartri.
I was just about to say, was Cadamartri one?
Yeah. Steve Earle.
Steve Earle.
Like you said, Barry Hale.
Yeah.
Simon Morgan.
Yes. Yeah. Did he go from us to them?
I've no idea. I haven't got that much information up, but I do know he played for both. But look, there we go. You were getting a bit too close anyway. Truth be said, I was regretting giving you those half points last time.
I mean, to be honest, I shouldn't have gone for Barry Hales because I can't remember him playing for 3 seasons for us. That's for sure. So I was a bit poor to pull both of them out and then to choose the wrong one.
I thought the Plymouth would have gave it away from you because that's where Holloway was before he managed us, and that's where he signed him from. He brought him with him.
Yeah.
Then it's just
it's his old age. It's his old age. He only has you on, Craig, because he knows I'd get them all. So he wants someone to beat in a predictions league. That's what he wants.
New prediction league coming next season as well, guys. Look out for it. That's coming up in the show special I'm doing, which I will say with all the changes once we know where we are going to be next season. I don't know where I was last week. Rene says Leicester gone for 2-1. Anthony says going for a Leicester win because Fulham don't have Mitrovic. Well, we're all hoping that, but that probably means they'll beat us 4-0. Craig, thank you very much, young man.
You're welcome.
At Craig Bird on Twitter is how you can find this gentleman, and do give him a follow. He's very, very proud that he has got no numbers in his name.
That's true.
Yeah. Everybody else, it just means he's old. But thank you very much for giving up your bank holiday Sunday. Oh, fingers crossed tomorrow. It will be literally from behind the couch. But I'll see you next Thursday when we're joined by Doug for the Liverpool preview.
Brilliant. All right. Cheers, Chris. Thanks, Brad. Nice to be on with you again, mate. See you soon.
Yeah, and you, buddy.
Cheers, Craig. Thank you.
See you later.
Oops, there we go. Oh, that is an awful feedback.
Face.
So I'll say, I need to take that mirror down. I'll tell you, I'm going to have to say goodbye to you because I say the feedback is awful now. Thanks very much, Brad, for coming on at Top 10 Battles, but there's going to be a lot of changes on that channel as well coming up in conjunction with LTID TV. Stay tuned because soon, in the next couple of weeks, we'll be making all the big announcements are building it up to be. It's not like we've taken over Sainsbury's or anything, but no, a little bit a few differences that we'll be announcing. Thank you. I will see you tomorrow, hopefully for the watch along, pre, post, and in the middle.
I was replying to the chat in there, but yes, I will. You will see me there, hopefully cheering and hopefully without too much of an echo on my phone. I'll tell you what I might do. I might load up the laptop now, and by half time it might have loaded up. So I'll see what I can do.
Exactly. All the best, mate. Thank you so very much for coming
Cheers,
on.
buddy.
See you later.
No worries.
Bye-bye. Like I say, please do stay tuned because there is a lot going to be happening. We've sort of introduced 1 or 2 changes already. You'll notice them as we've been going along. One of the main ones, obviously, that you'll be able to see is the layout of the thumbnails and everything that we do. As you can see there, if I add it in, there we go. Lots of other changes, show changes and all, etc. So do keep a look out for that special. Why not subsidize? Why not subscribe to the channel? Click that notification bell, and then you'll never miss the shows, and you'll find out exactly what is going on. And smash that likes button as well. Thank you so very much to Craig and to Brad for being on this evening. It's a bank holiday, so it's nice of them to give their time up. Thanks to everybody that popped in and out of the chat. Really do appreciate it. And if you've been listening on podcast, thank you so very much for lending me your ears. You can have them back now. Like I just said, please don't forget to subscribe, click that notification bell. And for $1.99 per calendar month, you can become a member. Because we are planning that once we get the numbers up as in the members, that we will be having some member-only shows. So just for the members only. I will see you on the next show, which is 2 o'clock tomorrow. and we've got a Fulham fan joining us live from the stadium, or certainly walking to the stadium anyway. So thank him very much for that. This has been LTID. I've been Chris. I will return. This is Arnie.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You'd better like them too, or I'll be back.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.